Some Prime Business Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah backs calls for a review of the benchmark value on import, but with improved local production.
At the same time, while we are pushing a lot of initiatives to support local production, which meets the same quality and sometimes is even more affordable.
Plus, official Office of Local Government Service partners U.S. fintech company for a common tax collection platform as it emerges tax loopholes cost MMDAs 5.6 million cedis each year.
The need for the partnership is based on the fact that it is clear from the President, from the Ministry of Finance, from the Ministry of Local Government, all over, that assemblies are not doing too well when it comes to internal revenue mobilization.
We have details coming shortly. To stay with us. Hello, welcome. I'm Charles Ayitey. This evening, Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah has revealed that he supports calls for a review of the benchmark value on imports. This comes on the back of fresh push by the Association of Ghana Industries for the Finance Minister to use the mid-year budget of estimates to scrap the levies. Now, the levies sought to remove some values on imported items as well as reduce the cost of items brought into the country. Mr. Nkrumah says that this should be supported actually by a strong push in local production by local industries in the short to medium term.
My position as a member of the administration is that we should all support the reversal of the discounts so that it is not cheaper to import goods. It will actually be more expensive to import. But if it is only more expensive and you don't have local substitutes that are equal in quality and are even cheaper, then the end effect is that you're going to flood the market with more expensive products. And that is why in joining the proposition that the benchmark value should be reversed, the discount of the benchmark value should be reversed, I further make the argument that it should be done at the same time while we are pushing a lot of initiatives to support local production, which meets the same quality and sometimes is even more affordable. That way, you achieve the objective of cutting imports and rather producing more domestically, but you also ensure that there is enough capacity to produce locally and at affordable prices. One of your stories you'll be dealing with is by rice producers who are asking government to do more to stimulate consumption. How do you stimulate consumption if you're allowing cheaper imports on the Ghanaian market? Obviously, people will go for the cheaper imports. And so we've got to take these bold decisions that say that we are going to pay more attention to local production, but we are going to not just sit back and allow go to their normal price discounts. We're going to shore up local production so that we don't have challenges on the market, especially in these times of high cost of living.
Official negotiations by government with the International Monetary Fund for an economic program could take off next month. This is what Joy Business is picking up from our sources. George Rafi has the latest.
Proposed August date is part of a schedule that has been put together to guide the country's engagement with the IMF for an economic program. We understand that the mission team is currently carrying out the necessary analysis on the economic data picked up during its recent visit to Ghana in Washington, D.C., USA. The team is expected to present this report to the IMF staff for some input. Now, while that is going on, there will be some online and video conferencing with officials of the Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance. The IMF, based on this data, is expected to come up with their own proposals on what needs to be done to stabilize the economy. This is expected to be influenced by a government-owned enhanced domestic program that managers are planning to put on the table. There has been some preliminary engagement with the IMF when they were in town. However, this August engagement can be described as official negotiation talks. Sources say there are moves to fast-track negotiations to ensure that the country's economic situation doesn't deteriorate going forward. The August negotiations timeline, which will also be influenced by a new debt sustainability analysis report put together jointly by the IMF and the World Bank. According to the IMF, Ghana's program with the fund will focus on debt sustainability and stabilizing Ghana's macroeconomic situation.
Now, the cost of borrowing is expected to go up further as the Institute of Economic Affairs (IA) is forecasting between 1 and 1.5% increase in the policy rate of the Bank of Ghana to 20 or 20.5%. This adjustment, it believes, will narrow the inflation policy rate gap, although the real policy rate will still remain negative. Charles Nksieboa has the rest.
The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana will begin its quarterly meeting tomorrow, with the primary focus of the committee is to craft a policy to help stem the continuous rise in inflation. But a statement from the Institute of Economic Affairs indicated that the increase in the policy rate will signal the MPC's firm commitment to fighting inflation and bringing it under control. The upward adjustment, it also believes, will send the right signal to and help calm the market. Furthermore, it said the next meeting of the MPC in September, when the committee will have had the benefit of 2 more inflation readings in July and August, would give it a clearer sense of the trend for it to reposition the policy rate accordingly. The MPC of the Bank of Ghana, for the second consecutive time in May 2022, increased the policy rate, the rate at which it lends to commercial banks, by 200 basis points to 19%.
Well, economist Professor Lord Mensah says even though he looks forward to an increase in the policy rate by the central bank, government should also put in prudent fiscal or expenditure measures to complement efforts at tackling the rise in inflation. He spoke on the marketplace.
I believe that the policy committee may want to widen the gap between inflation and then, monetary policy rate, so that it can feed into the various interest rate structures. And as a result of that, it will motivate people, to invest. It will motivate businesses to invest. So basically, that is the angle I'm looking at it. But if you take, the inflation that we target, and as I always say, it's not a problem of monetary, policy. I see it to be more of a problem of, fiscal policy, which we may have to, adapt different, strategies to ensure that at least some foodstuff, because if you look at it, various inflation structures, it's food and, essentials are the ones that are costing most in terms of, the price increase. So what are we going to do as a country to ensure that, the fiscal aspect of spending wisely to grow certain aspects of the economy, so that we can at least control food inflation in our environment, should be able to help us.
An estimated 5.6 million cedis is lost annually from the revenue collection kitty of metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies. Now, this was revealed in a site analysis of the tax mobilization of MMDAs by the Office of Local Government Service in partnership with the US-based fintech company Javelin. This partnership is aimed at establishing a tax tracking platform that is to be piloted across 7 municipalities and districts. We have more in this report. Though MMDAs in Ghana are mandated to ensure they are responsible for their overall development, they are not generating the needed revenue to drive development projects. It gets worse as government fund releases are woefully enough to drive any project. In fact, figures from the local government ministry show that MMDAs achieved just 18% of tax collection targets in 2021. Averting this challenge, the local government office has partnered a US-based fintech company, Javelin, for a revenue mobilization platform. Speaking to Joy Business, head of service at the local government, Nana Arthur revealed the partnership will see Javelin plug billions of cedis worth in tax loopholes across municipalities and districts in the Greater Accra region.
The need for the partnership is based on the fact that it is clear from the president, from the Ministry of Finance, from the Ministry of Local Government, all over, that assemblies are not doing too well when it comes to internal revenue mobilization. As a result, we think that there are areas, except the property rate collection, that we are looking at it from another, source. There are other revenue sources. And we believe that we need to partner Javelin, for Javelin to look at how we'll be able to improve upon those revenue sources.
VP of Javelin in charge of operations, Phil Darty, in a presentation to stakeholders revealed the plan is to establish a tax system designed to achieve solid economic growth and sustainable development for Ghana.
The market women have phones, right? They have phones, but not all of them have smartphones. That's why we made provision for the USSD, the short code, they call it. Short code, very simple, very easy. And then like my CEO said, if they don't have any phone at all, then these tax force and these collectors would also receive the payment and make it on their phone for them. And then they don't have any email, they don't have any way of receiving a receipt. They could have a friend, a brother, whatever, give us their email and a phone to send a receipt. Now, if we need to come up with a paper receipt, we could do that.
Meanwhile, founder and chairman of Javelin Group, Carl Paul, tells Joy Business the choice of Ghana is premised on the country's readiness to expand infrastructure development through an effective tax regime.
We believe that a lot of the revenue potential for the country could be started by generating, increased collections at the municipality level. We like the municipalities in the central region here to start off with. We think there's tremendous opportunity for collections, and we believe that over a very short period of time, we'll be able to provide additional funding for the municipalities to do economic development in their areas.
About 7 MMDAs have been selected for the pilot phase of the revenue mobilization program. They include the Accra and Tema Metropolitan Assemblies, Gas South, Ayawaso West, and the Kotopon municipalities. Now, stakeholders in the agri sector fear they are being left out of discussions for an economic program with the International Monetary Fund. According to them, it's time the fund changes its conservative ways of prioritizing balance of payments of countries they're supporting and allow the countries to choose challenges they want to address. The Chief Executive of the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana, Anthony Morrison, spoke on this development.
For us, having engaged considerably a number of stakeholders, we think that the industry would not accept any kind of conditionality that will be placed on the industry with regards to withdrawal of some critical support, even though we have complained about the fact that the ongoing PFJ subsidies are not enough. So it's not something that we are still ready to contain. We are also looking at the fact that if we go to IMF, some other critical conditionalities that will be placed on the poultry industry that has already lost well over 400 farms. So we will not be in the position to accept that. And let me also add that if the poultry industry is doing well, then we can say that the agriculture sector is doing well because it is the biggest value chain within the sector. brings on board a lot of grains and cereal farmers. It brings on board a lot of employability. It brings on board a number of other poultry value chain assets, egg select, chicken and frozen chicken parties, and all the other externalities.
Now, the CSIR College of Science and Technology has inaugurated the governing board of the institution for another term. The two-time chairman of the board, Professor Joseph Anamoah-Mensah, made a call to government to consider the support scientific breakthroughs made by Ghanaians to be able to address most of the challenges faced by the country. He rehearsed that the development of the country will ride on science and technology.
An 11-member governing board was inaugurated for the CSIR College of Science and Technology. Speaking to Joy Business, chairman of the board, Professor Joseph Anamoah-Mensah said, highlighting import substitution is one of the major initiatives he wants to achieve during his tenure. However, he indicated that support from the government would determine the pace at which this is achieved.
People. So we're saying that if the country is to really develop, we need science and technology and innovation. And this is the place where the action is. This is the place where you have all the qualified people in the various areas, to help develop, the country. If they are listened to, it will be very, very, beneficial for the country, because the innovations they come out with can then be put into action. The way the world is going now, we don't know what is going to happen. We need to develop certain things ourselves. There are certain things that are locally available. You mentioned the fact that yes, we have cassava, which we can produce flour from, so that we don't depend upon just one source. And that's wheat, for our bread.
CSIR Council Chairman and representative of the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Robert Kingsley Adabo, charged the board to ensure that graduates from the college become problem solvers that can shape a better future for Ghana.
It's my hope that this college will not just become an institution, that is to extend the real mission and vision of CSIR, but go become a center of excellence. We have to do things a little bit differently, not just churning out people with academic degrees, but people with skills to be able to impact and move this country forward. The wisdom of those in CSIR have mapped out and found that there is actually some niche or gap that needs to be filled by the establishment of this college. That is why it is set up. So its impact should be felt nationally and possibly globally.
Meanwhile, the youngest member of the governing board, who is also a member of the Association of Ghana Industries, Dr. Stefan Nwole Jr. shared the role of AGI on the board.
I'm a representative from AGI on this board, and because we understand the challenges of the businesses and how we can contribute, our representation on this board means that we are going to help the institution to come up with certain kind of policy or courses that would help the institution grow, because we can collaborate very well and bring our experience to board.
The Bank of Ghana says there has been an increase in the number of complaints lodged against licensed institutions in respect of product, services and practices. As part of sensitization efforts, the Central Bank has engaged officers of the Western region, the Ghana Immigration Service, on banking services and customer rights, as well as their responsibilities. The event was to increase awareness on key financial consumer protection issues to enhance customer confidence in the banking sector.
The bank explains that most of these complaints have bordered on issues such as non-disclosure of key information, wrongful application of interest on loans, imposition of unexplained charges, payment of remittance to wrong beneficiaries, and other forms of financial fraud. But according to the bank, a critical observation made from the complaints is the knowledge gap in financial and banking-related issues on the part of some consumers of financial products and services. Western Regional Manager of Bank of Ghana, Kofi Hassan, intimated that it is therefore imperative that stringent efforts are made to create the needed awareness to boost consumer confidence.
As the regulators of the banking sector, the objective of this sensitization program is to increase awareness on key financial consumer protection issues within the banking space. Financial consumers are key players in the financial sector. This explains why the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions Act 2016, Act 930, places a responsibility on the Bank of Ghana to develop appropriate consumer protection measures to ensure that the interests of customers of banks and SDIs are adequately protected, whilst improper practices of banks and SDIs are dealt with.
Head of External Dispute Resolution, Bank of Ghana, Reverend Kwesi Twum, spoke of the critical role the Ghana Immigration Service plays in the fight against money laundering and other cross-border crimes, for which reason their knowledge on the financial sector should always be enhanced.
The nation is blacklisted, so that's why we need to all understand that money laundering issue is very crucial, to the nation. Other than that, we cannot do anything. With the rest of the world, we are cut off because they see us not very credible. But while some people are looking at the brand side and do some things at the brand side of the Bank of Ghana or another nation, it worries us as a nation, because when you travel out of the country, you have to be checked as to whether you are carrying any goods or anything, So that's why we need to get all this in, because you cannot travel with more than 10,000 currency out, and some people have to hide some of these things. That's why we're blacklisted. We were taken, by the grace of God, we've been taken out, from the grey areas. Don't want to get back to that. So we want to sanitize, giving us all this opportunity. We want to sanitize the nation. It's not only Ghana immigration, but we want to send it out to all so the money laundering issue is crucial to the country, because we're blacklisted, and there are implications when we are blacklisted.
Speaking on behalf of the regional manager of the Ghana Immigration Service, ACI Beatrice Okpati, was hopeful that the sensitization will further enhance the service's drive at curbing financial irregularities at the borders.
Considering the fact that the world is a global village, it is very important for law enforcement officers to understand the Ghanaian financial legal framework and its systems, which will help them in the fight against money laundering and other cross-border crimes. Furthermore, the training will empower officers to be extra vigilant when engaging in financial investment activities with companies in the country. Finally, the training will strengthen the existing collaboration and cooperation between the service and the Bank of Ghana.
Participants were taken through presentation on rights and responsibilities as financial consumers, customer complaint resolution procedures, as well as creating a culture of anti-money laundering compliance. For Joy Business, in Athalia Kwansa, Takoradi.
That'll be it for Prime Business.